Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have a great roundup of fall DIYs that I've made using my Thunder Laser Nova 24. So if you have a laser and you're looking for some quick and easy fall DIY projects, you have come to the right video. So this one's a bit of a long one, so we're going to jump right into it. But I do want to remind you, if you like what you see here, please don't be shy, hit that subscribe button and follow for more. So my first video, I was inspired by this little shelf sitter that I saw in Walmart. It was $8 and I knew when I saw it I could easily make my own. So I found some scrap 1x2 in my scrap pile and I just gave it a quick sand with my Ryobi power sander, just making sure to get rid of any slivers or pieces that were hanging off. And then once I had them all sanded and ready to go, I came in with this gel stain from Dixie Belle in the shade Walnut. And I just went ahead and stained both the blocks, making sure to get the ends as well, leaving no area unstained. So you want to stain all the pieces. And then I set these aside and let them dry fully. Dries in about 2 hours. For the next part of this project, I headed over to my scrap pile of laser supplies and I have this beautiful sage green piece of acrylic left over from another project. I took off the protective sheet and on the backing I put the 3M adhesive over the whole sheet. So I just cut that out and put it on the back, making sure to use a flat scraper to smooth out any air bubbles. You want to make sure that this is nice and smoothed out. So then once that was done, I took it over to my laser, and as well I have in a piece of wood too. I'm going to be doing the words out of acrylic, and then I'm going to be making the little fox out of wood. Now I have put in the description on this video where I found the little fox digital file. It is a free digital file, so if you want to scoop that up, you can. I don't own it, but it is free and I found it, so you can go ahead and download that. Once my pieces were done cutting out, I brought them back over to my work table and I could put this little shelf sitter together. So now I'm going to begin here with the acrylic pieces first, and I'm just going to do kind of like a flat lay on top of my wood pieces just to make sure everything fits. I did end up cutting the letters a little bit bigger than I should have, so I had to kind of put my blocks off center, but I'm okay with that because I'm really making this project my own and I'm not copying the one that I saw in Walmart exactly. I'm putting my own spin on this project. So for my fox pieces as well, I did a dry fit, making sure all the pieces were correct and that I had them all. And then once I did that, I could come in and paint my pieces. So to paint my wood pieces, I just used a variety of acrylic paints. I went with a softer orange for the fox body, and then as well the greenery pieces, just a nice light green, and then white for the other pieces of the body. To do the smaller pieces like the eyes and the nose, I just used a Sharpie marker. I had a little bit more control with this and it was easier to do. And as well for the wood blocks, I put those together using Gorilla Glue. So I just put the Gorilla Glue on the one piece and the other piece and attached them together, and I set that aside and let that dry for a good 2 hours. Once that was dry, I applied my acrylic letters onto the wood blocks, and this is made easy with the 3M adhesive on the back. You just have to peel it off and stick them down. Once they were all attached, then you just have to come in with a weeding tool and just remove the protective cover that's over top of the acrylic. Just be very careful that you don't scratch the acrylic when you're doing this. And then now I could put my fox together. Before I did that though, the edges were looking a little messy, so I just came in with this paint pen and I just went around the edges because these parts are going to be shown because it is a standing object and it's a shelf sitter. I don't want it to look messy from the sides. So This is super easy to do with a paint pen. You just go along and do all the edges. And then I use the same Gorilla Glue just to put the fox together, just working off the pattern. I had the picture up in front of me from the SVG file so that I could put it together the way it goes. And it's super easy to put together, just with a little bit of glue. I did use some tweezers here for the eyes and then the nose, just because they were smaller pieces, a little bit harder to work with. But with a pair of tweezers, it easily comes together. Then I attached him to the top of the wood blocks using the glue, and then he is finished, and I just set him aside to dry. Once he was dry, here he is. I put him onto my nice little fall tray here. This project is super easy, and you can kind of customize it to fit your style as well. For my next project, I also saw this at Walmart. So I saw this little sign and it was cute. It was $10. And I mean, $10 is not a bad price, but when I looked at it, I was like, I could totally make that a little bit better, I think. So I headed to Dollarama and I picked up one of these wood artist panels. And I just came in with some painter's tape and I taped off the frame because I'm going to be staining the frame. So I just went around, taped it off. I didn't want to get any stain on the inside part of the artist panel. Then I came in with the same No Pain gel stain from Dixie Belle in the shade Walnut. I love this stuff. Honestly, it is one of the nicest stains to work with. And then I took a foam brush and I stained all the edges of the frame, making sure to get all the sides and the insides as well. And then as well, I also did the back of the frame. Now you don't have to do this, but I just think it gives it a nice professional look. And just in case, you know, if you don't want to hang it on the wall, it'll look nice from all angles. Once the stain was dry, I removed the painter's tape, and then I'm going to come in and do a technique on the inside of the panel. So I'm going to use this straight edge ruler and I'm just going to line it up, and then I'm going to use a pencil to make some marking. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be making a little faux shiplap backing. I didn't want to pre-cut wood pieces and put them in here. I wanted to just do it, so I kind of came up with this unique idea on how to do this. Once I finished making all my pencil marks, I then came in with an X-Acto knife to score these lines and give a more in-depth look. I decided that the scoring with the X-Acto knife wasn't as deep as I would like it, so I got the idea to get out my wood burner and I actually wood burned in a deeper, wider, thicker line into this artist panel. So I started on low temp just to make sure everything would look okay, and then once I knew it was working, I upped the temperature a little bit to get a more deeper, wider shiplap line in between each of these panels. So this actually turned out pretty well. It worked really nicely, and I even liked the wood burning look that it gave each line. So it just gave it that great detail and made it look more realistic. Plus, with the actual indents in there, it was very realistic looking. I then came in with some Vintage Effect wash from Decor in the shade White and painted the whole back of the panel over top of the lines that I had made. I did 2 coats of this and then let it fully dry. Once it was dry, I decided that the lines needed to pop just a bit more, so I just went over them once more with my wood burner just to bring those lines back out and make them more prominent. Once the wood burning was to my liking and I was happy with how everything looked, I came in with this gray wax from Country Chic Paint and I just lightly brushed over the lines a little bit just to give it a little bit of distressing. I used a makeup sponge to do this. I love using makeup sponges actually in my DIYs. I find them so easy to paint with. And then I came in back with my laser and I found a unique pumpkin SVG design. I will link that in the description as well if you want to purchase this for your DIY projects. It's not my design, I just found it on Etsy, but it's really pretty, so I will link that in the description for you as well. So I cut this out with Baltic birch, and then once it was done cutting, I brought it back to my piece, and I'm going to go ahead and try to recreate the piece that I saw at Walmart, but mine just has that little extra detail with this floral pumpkin outline. So I'm going to go ahead and use a pencil, and I'm going to trace around the wood cutout, and then once I have that onto my piece here, I'm going to come in with some coloring and just paint these pumpkins. So basically kind of mirroring the one that I saw at Walmart, but just putting my own kind of spin on it. So I did the light orange on the bottom, the blue in the middle, and then a creamy beige at the top. While I was painting, I did keep checking with my wood cutout just to make sure that I wasn't going out of the lines and that you wouldn't see any paint beyond the cutout. And then once the paint was dry, I came in with the wax and some pencil, and I just made some like little detailing, some shading, and just to give these pumpkins a realistic look and just not to make them so dense looking underneath of the wood cutout. I also did a dry brush over top with more paint, and as well I used some markers just to add those really definite lines. For the pumpkin stem, I did use a marker just to paint that because it was really small and I didn't think I could be very neat with a paintbrush. And then once it was dry, I added in the Gorilla Glue on the back of the wood cutout, and then I put it in place over top of the pumpkins. Just to add the little tag as well from the sign that I saw at Walmart, I cut out a tag using my laser. I put this masking paper over top of the wood before cutting because we're going to be painting in the lines of the engrave. So we put this masking down so that we can paint and then remove the masking without getting any on the wood underneath. And you're going to see that in a minute here after I put my wood in my laser and let it cut. I'll show you how I do that technique. So this design here, I actually just found an image online and used that as well. So you can use any images that you like with your laser. That's the amazing thing about it is you can pretty much upload any image into this thing and it will either cut or engrave it. So once my tag was done here, I brought it back over and I'm going to use a makeup sponge again. We're not removing the mask, so the mask is still on there and we're just blotting on the paint over top of the mask. Once it's done, we remove the mask and then you can see here that the paint is just inside the engraved letters. I finished off this piece with a little bit of decorative ribbon and I glued the tag in place and then as well glued the ribbon on top. I went back and forth about adding some greenery to the top as well, like there was some in the Walmart piece, but ultimately I did decide against it. I thought that the tag and the decorative little ribbons were enough for this piece because of the intricate flower detailing on the pumpkins. I didn't want to overwhelm it. So I just went with this simple little tag, some ribbon, and this is the final project. So let me know in the comments what you think about this one. Do you think it turned out better than the Walmart one? Just let me know. You won't hurt my feelings, but I think it turned out really good and I'm super happy with this piece and I'm glad that I made it my own. My next project is another Walmart dupe, except for I actually bought the Walmart product for this one. I found these cute little wooden garlands. They were $3.98. But when I got to the tag, I was like, you know what? I could really make that better. So I did buy the garlands because they were so cheap, but we're going to upgrade this tag just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure the tag and then I'm going to cut another piece of mask and I'm going to put that over top of the tag and I'm going to use my scraper to smooth it out to make sure we get rid of any air bubbles, and then we're going to bring it over here to the laser and we're going to put it in, making sure to move the beads out of the way. That's very important. We're going to set up our origin and do our frame here, and then we're going to engrave a neat little design into the back of this tag. I did have to put some holders down because the beads were making it pop up a little bit and I want it to be nice and secure. So those are those wood pieces that you see there. But this is a little Hello Fall design here that we're going to engrave into this tag, and then we're going to go ahead and same thing like we did with the tag on the last sign, we're going to add in some black paint to fill in these engraved lines. So I'm just using a makeup pad again and I'm just dabbing in the paint. And then we'll remove the mask and then you'll see here that the paint is just inside of the engraved lines. And I apologize for my blurry camera there. I'm not sure what happened, but we're going to remove the bits of the mask in between the letters. And then once we're done, our piece is finished. So this one is super easy, super quick, just a little neat way to upgrade something that you get at Walmart. I did leave the grateful and thankful blessed on the back just in case you want to flip it over. So it's still there if you want to flip it over. But honestly, I think this is such an improvement for this piece and didn't take any time at all. Super quick and super easy for this DIY. For my next DIY, what I have here is just some wood coasters. I picked these up at Dollarama quite a while ago. They were, I think, $4, but they're really nice wood, and I thought they would make a really easy project. So I just found some designs online that I liked, pop into the laser and let it do its thing. And this is one of the reasons why I absolutely love this machine, that I can actually make anything I really want. So for this wood though, it was very nice wood. I didn't want to sand it at all. So to clean off the burn marks from the engrave, I just sprayed it with a little bit of cleaning vinegar and then ran it under some warm water and then just let the wood dry out. I found that this is a nice way to get rid of those burn marks without having to do sanding. And these are the finished coasters. So I did a set of 4. I did different designs on each, except for 2 of them actually have the pumpkin wallpaper look, but I think these turned out great. And again, a super quick, super easy fall DIY that you can make with your laser, that you can customize to do any way you want. And all you have to do is just find some plain wood coasters. And if you can't find wood coasters at your dollar store or cheap enough, you can always cut them yourself too out of wood using your laser. This next project I'm really stoked about. I really love this one. So this one, I picked up this storage jar from Dollarama. It was $3. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure the lid just to get my measurements here. And then we're going to pop it in the laser and we're going to be engraving on this lid fall bucket list. So I saw this idea on Pinterest and I thought it was so cute, and it's going to give my family something to do all fall long. So I just found a fall bucket list SVG design, put it into the laser, engraved it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to make some little pumpkins. So I did a pumpkin design in Lightburn and then I cut these out. Now I do have to admit I did make a mistake here. I forgot to switch and do the engrave first before the cutting, and you should always engrave before you cut, because I did have to actually stop the laser, pull the wood out, and it did mess up a little bit, but I think I salvaged it. It's okay. But anyways, this is just for my family. If I was making this to sell, I would obviously redo it. But I'm going to go ahead and clean up the lid here. I just use a baby wipe just to remove the burn marks. And then we're going to go ahead here and we're going to pop all our pumpkins into our jar. So we just place them in there, and then that's all there is to this project. It is super cute, super easy. And then you can set this up in your home. And when you're looking for something to do during the fall, pull it out, have one of the kids grab a little pumpkin out of the jar and see what you can do that day. So this idea I thought was super cute. Again, I saw it on Pinterest, but I kind of made it my own. And one thought I had was that as you pull the pumpkins out and you do an activity, you could write the date on the back or you could sign them. Honestly, you could do anything you want with this. It's just a super cute fall idea for you and your family. And it looks great in your fall decor. For this next project, we're taking one of those cheap bamboo cutting boards from the dollar store and we're going to measure it here just for our design. We're going to pop this one in the laser and we're going to engrave a nice design here onto the bamboo cutting board. Now, once the laser does its thing, you take it out, and the same thing again, just give the bamboo cutting board a wipe with a baby wipe just to remove any of those burn marks from the engraving. And then we're going to come in and we're going to use the same walnut stain from Dixie Belle, because like I said, it is my ultimate favorite, and we're going to rub that stain into all the engraved lines. Then we're going to come in with a little bit of black acrylic paint and we're going to rub that in as well, just to really darken up those lines. We're going to wipe it away with a cloth, but we're also going to take that black acrylic paint and we're going to rub it all the way up the bamboo cutting board. Now, you don't have to do this, but I really don't like the look of the bamboo. It just doesn't go with my decor or my aesthetic. So I want to darken this board up. So I'm doing a layer of black underneath just to kind of give it that dark undertone. And then I'm coming in with the walnut stain and doing that over top just to really darken up this board and give it that rich, warm autumn tone. When it's done, this is the finished look. You can use this as like a candle board to set your candles on your table. There's so many things that you can do with this. You can decorate it up, add some ribbon to it, use it as a door hanger, or just work it into your other decor. And like I said, you don't have to stain it. If you like the bamboo look, you can totally just leave it as is. But I like that it gives it that kind of rustic look, like it's been around for a while and that it just didn't come from the dollar store. So another idea that I had was I could hang it here on my kitchen rack with my pretty dish towels and a nice wreath, and it almost acts like a sign. Last year I picked up these little houses from Dollar Tree, and I'm finally going to put them to use. We're going to make them over and I'm going to stack them together to make a nice shelf sitter. So I'm going to begin by ripping off this heart off of this one, and then we're going to come in with the walnut stain. And we're going to stain the roof of this house, making sure to do the fronts. And as well, you want to make sure that you get the sides. Now, these are made out of MDF. And the way you get rid of that cheap MDF look is just making sure that you stain all the sides. They're not as noticeable when you stain them, and it just kind of elevates this project. I'm going to do the same to the other one, making sure to do the fronts and the sides as well. But we're not going to touch the black part in the middle. We're just going to leave that as is. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to measure the inside here for my design, and then again we're going to come in with the mask and we're going to put this down. Now you want to make sure that you use a scraper and you scrape it right in. When you're using the mask, you want it to be nice and flat, no air bubbles, because you don't want it to lift at all when it's engraving. So scrape it out, make sure you get rid of all the air bubbles. And then let's pop it into the laser and let it do its thing. So I found another nice design here, and we're going to do a deep engrave on this one. And then once it's done in the laser, we're going to keep the mask on and we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint in the engraved lines. Now you don't have to paint in your engraved lines, but I just think they really pop when you do this, and it just looks a lot better, cleaner, and a more finished look to your project. So I'm just using some plain white paint here. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove the mask and then remove all the little bits in between the letters. And then this is all we're going to do on this house, and we're going to glue it to the other one. So I've just spread a ton of super glue on here. We're going to layer them on top. We do want to clamp them just so they have a nice good hold here and let that glue really set. And then once the glue is set, you can remove the clamps and set it up in your decor. And this is what it looks like here. So we've taken something from the Dollar Tree and we've just elevated it and made it look like something that you would get at Michael's. There you have it, guys. There is 7 fall DIY crafts that you can make using a laser cutting machine. I hope that this video has inspired you to get creative this fall with your DIYs. If you have a laser cutting machine, I hope that this has given you a bit of inspiration for your fall crafting. If you don't have a laser cutting machine and you're watching this video, I hope that it has inspired you to get one, because honestly, I love my laser and I use it for so many things, and the amount of things that I can create versus buying is incredible. So if you have any questions about the Thunder Laser, I would love to answer those for you. As always, you can pop them in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you again on another video.